This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
Children's rights advocated by Attorney General Niningi. Laws on public voting for Prime Minister reviewed. Advocacy on persons living with disabilities conducted in Port Moresby today. A very good evening. You're watching National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. Children, including teenage adolescents, have the right to speak and be heard by all adults in their lives, and that their ideas are taken into consideration. This was revealed by Minister responsible for Justice and the country's Attorney General Niningi during a consultative workshop on the implementation of the Convention on the Rights of Children in Papua New Guinea. Stakeholders, including officers from the Department of Community Development, Youth and Religion, together with concerned citizens involved in the space of child protection in PNG, gathered for this consultative meet this morning. PNG's part to implement the Convention on the Rights of the Child, or CRC, has been effective. However, more needs to be done in this space. Dr. Claudes Kamenga elaborates on this.
Establishes that children can form and express views on matters that affect them and that they must be taken seriously.
The PNG government has renewed its Geneva commitment to submitting the long-awaited State Party periodic report detailing the country's implementation of children's rights. This will now demonstrate the country's place at the forefront of child rights implementation and monitoring in the Asia-Pacific region. Director for the Office of Child and Family Service, Simon Yanis, explains on this.
The country's ratification as a signatory on the CRC, and implementing that, the country has done a lot, especially in legislation and policy areas.
More so, children who get in conflict with the law also have their rights, as alluded to by Justice Minister and Attorney General Niningi.
Children are important for the future of this country. How the right is, he or she will not go into the general where the adults live. They have their own place. To protect them, we wanted to help them, to guide them.
The department's acting secretary, Nicholas Mosoro, also gave emphasis on the CRC report in PNG.
We have not reported as a country. We are obliged to report to the United Nations on how we have implemented that convention. It took us 19 years. That's why through the leadership of the Marape Rosso government, the delegate being the Minister for Justice, as well as the Minister for Community Development, Youth and Religion, now we are taking it on now. So we have a draft report already.
This consultative workshop emphasized more on children in PNG who are not considered in society. It was heard that children have the right to participate on matters affecting them, to speak up in their homes and communities, and be heard. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News. A total of 420 grade 12 students from the Badihagwa Technical Secondary School in Port Moresby have undergone skills training this week. The Project Walk Youth Empowerment Program is aimed at equipping students with job-set strategies.
Student participants Evelyn Popayo and Ronald Bray say the skills training will help them to write good letters when seeking employment after completing their secondary education.
But then what I've learned today has told me, had really outlined the difference in how to write a resume in a formal way. This has helped me a lot in changing my way of approaching my interviewer.
The program taught us how to do good resumes and taught us in advance to answer questions like tell me more about yourself and all this in an actual formal interview.
Deputy Principal Ikupu Ovia thanked the project UMIINS and said these skills will empower students to excel in life for a better future.
Now this program is so very important, and from the two groups that have come during the week, they have been impressed because it's a learning process for them to know and to be given the confidence and the readiness skills of how to apply for a job. So from this point onwards, when they leave school at the end of grade 12, some will be able to find a job, some will go straight into the tertiary institute for other fields in their learning.
Project UMIINS will continue to offer in-school program for the rest of grade 12 cohort of participating schools throughout this year. The secondary schools include Kopkop College, Marineville Secondary School, Port Moresby National School of Excellence, Butuka Academy Secondary School and Badiagwa Technical Secondary School. This program is aimed at equipping students with skills on how to write compelling resume, analyzing job advertisements, good application writing skills, and will help them to transition from school life to work life. Jim John, National EMTV News.
The government, through Prime Minister James Marape, has proposed on reviewing laws governing the election of the country's Prime Minister to allow ordinary citizens to vote for the Prime Minister. With that, Patrick Kaiku, Senior Political Science Lecturer at the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at the University of Papua New Guinea, held a media briefing session to educate reporters on this.
Papua New Guinea has two ways of electing the Prime Minister, as stipulated in Section 142 of the Constitution, where the first sitting of a new parliament elect the PM, or through a vote of no confidence, as specified in Section 145 of the Constitution. Either way, elected members of Parliament vote for the Prime Minister. According to the consultative meet with reporters today, facilitator Patrick Kaiku explained that if Papua New Guineans are allowed to vote for the Prime Minister, then this should be based on a compelling case. Mr. Kaiku clarified that our current Westminster system of government also involves the party with the greatest number of declared candidates invited by the Governor-General to form government as stipulated under the Constitution. Furthermore, the Prime Minister is the head of the executive government that makes crucial decisions in the running of the country. Hence, to have the people vote for a Prime Minister, what alternative means will be present to check powers vested on him to make decisions for the country? Reporters were told through this consultative meeting that concentrating power in the hands of only one person is apprehensive with dangers. Mr. Kaiku stated that it is through elected members of parliament voted by the people that a prime minister is chosen, and this is the whole basis of the representative democracy of PNG practice. For now, will a direct vote for the prime minister by the citizens of Papua New Guinea be more legitimate? And if there is a problem with how the prime minister is currently voted, what is the problem? Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
The national elections in the country are getting worse and worse over the years, and some things need to be changed to make the elections flow smoothly. East CP Governor and Chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee for the 2022 general election, Alan Bird, says something needs to be done, and as leaders, they cannot allow election processes to continue to deteriorate.
Chairman Alan Bird says the Special Parliamentary Committee on the 2022 general elections also want to get people to fully understand elections.
This is the first time we've done an inquiry since independence. For all our elections, there's never been an inquiry, and first time. So we want to not just fix elections, but get people to understand the whole process. Like even for myself, I've taken part in 4 elections.
The chairman was in lay with his deputy, Sepuka Temu, and committee members for the Momase leg of the Special Parliamentary Committee hearing. He says they will be doing a recommendation and will present it in the next parliament sitting to see if some things can be changed in the election processes.
My main focus will be in the recommendations. I will take it to Parliament, hopefully in the next sitting. I want to do it quickly. There's a reason for that. Landi el problem yung sa problem ng elections. Kami yung mga sabinis, and manubla sa. I don't want to focus on that. I want to get to the recommendations, take it to Parliament, and because once Parliament adopts it, this committee will oversee the implementation of the recommendation.
He says if there are things that need to be changed, they will have to get laws drafted and have them presented on the floor of Parliament to have them passed for smooth and trouble-free elections in the future.
Then it's our job to get those laws drafted, bring them before Parliament, table them, have them passed. If, for example, if we need to restructure the Electoral Commission, then we will make the recommendations and oversee the restructure of the Electoral Commission.
The committee is currently in lay where they will be having consultation meetings with the Momase provinces of Morobe, Medang, East and West Sepik provinces over a 2-day period. The consultation is in relation to the province's conduct and the hardships and troubles faced in the 2022 general elections and how best these issues be addressed to make the next election a better one. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
The PNG Assembly of Disabled Persons, Call-in Services for Persons with Disabilities and Christian Blind Mission have launched their inclusive health and hygiene awareness videos today at the Catholic Bishop Conference in Port Moresby. The videos are about advocating the persons with disability to equip them on how to manage their daily lives regardless of so many barriers they face each day.
Now wheelchairs suppose you up long making alright.
Persons with different impairments witnessed the launching today and said some of the challenges they face each day.
This is not advice.
Some said they are not treated equally by the government, their families and the public. They also added that they are not given equal opportunities in the employment sector despite having the same qualifications as able-bodied people.
I just crawled up the steps.
The female co-chair of PNG Assembly of Disability Persons, Jacqueline Garwao, stressed that with the government's policy on leaving no one behind, not much progress has been taking place when it comes to persons with impairments.
A deaf person, if they don't have a sign interpreter available in the room to interpret what people are saying, they miss out on that communication. So for them, having a sign interpreter is very important. For a blind person, like we were viewing the videos today, they are not able to see what's being projected on the screen with the video, but they will be able to hear the audio of what is being said. So it's thinking about, when you have persons with different impairments, how are you ensuring that they are included in the conversations that are taking place, and how do you cater for their needs to ensure that they participate fully with everybody else in the room?
She said access to service is a very big challenge for them.
If you read the data that's available, women with disabilities are 2 to 3 times more, I would say, more vulnerable than men with disabilities or even with other women. And in terms of accessing services and in terms of communication, like you would have heard today, some of the presentations made by our persons with disabilities, women are 2 to 3 times more vulnerable to things like violence, And in terms of accessing services, like we heard from our deaf colleague today, like, for deaf women, when they are pregnant, they're about to deliver a baby, they have to have someone who can be able to communicate with the health professionals for them to have a safe delivery.
I can participate.
Estagane, National MTV News.
National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National MTV News. The 5th of May is observed as Children's Day in Japan. Hence, the Japan International Cooperation Agency celebrated the Children's Day program today with students, teachers, and parents of Coronation Primary School in Port Moresby.
The JICA representatives, in commemorating the Children's Day, presented some textbooks and sporting gear such as sporting equipment for students and teachers to use. Among the students is a grade 4 student, Jovian Paul. Jovian can speak in Japanese, which really impressed the JICA representatives. She was selected to travel to Japan in July of this year for an exposure trip, and she was selected through a program under JICA.
I'm going with other students, 3 students from other schools. Well, we'll be learning about their culture and what they do, their food, how they live.
Her mother, Mary Siare, says she is a very obedient child.
Leaving me and going down there, it's not in Papua New Guinea, but it's far out there, across the oceans. So over how many countries you are living and going right down there, and it's a bit sad for me, seeing my daughter traveling far out there. Then I'm happy to see her traveling to explore other countries.
JICA PNG alumni representative Miriam Avosa told the students to behave well at all times as they are the future leaders of this country.
Make who we are, how we conduct ourselves before our visitors, before our parents, before our teachers means a lot. That is what we call ethics and morals, and having the values that you as a child must have when growing up.
A well-disciplined population in turn will contribute to the development of the country. That is why the students here at the Coronation Primary School in Port Moresby were encouraged to maintain good ethical values that will help them to become good leaders in the near future. Jim John, National MTV News.
Morobe Provincial Administrator Max Bruton has fully supported the routine measles and rubella immunization coverage in Morobe and says the provincial administration will support the Department of Health in the immunization coverage in the province.
Speaking to the World Health Organization and Morobe Provincial Health staff on the measles and rubella immunization program, Bruton says the government and all stakeholders must work together in order to have a healthy population. He says to minimize polio and other diseases in children, Morobe Provincial Government is committed to helping in combating vaccine-preventable diseases. Bruton says he will ensure that the vaccination campaign will reach all parts of Morobe. However, Morobe Provincial Health Authority Family Health Services Coordinator Patricia Gahanau says the provincial measles and rubella immunization team's budget for the campaign is 1.6 million kina and they were only funded 900,000 kina. Bruton says he will have a meeting with the Morobe Provincial Health Authority CEO Dr. Kipas Binga and see how they will step in to assist in the vaccination campaign. Natasha Ovoy, National MTV News.
The Oil Palm Industry Corporation presented a vehicle to the Popondetta Growers Association recently in Port Moresby. This initiative will help the production work of oil palm growers in the Northern Province. Oil Palm Industry Corporation Secretary General Captain Popita was pleased to present a Toyota Land Cruiser to the Popondetta Oil Palm Growers Association Chairman Arnold Coco. Popita said the last purchase of vehicles was made in 2013 when the SADP projects were funded by the World Bank. He further stated that despite having issues with transportation over the years, they managed to carry out their tasks successfully.
You can see in our production results starting 2020 that there is a constant increase in smaller FFB production. The last being 2022, we have produced around about 819,000 metric tons of FFB. That has also contributed to increased revenue in our export earnings. In 2022, we brought in around about plus 2.83 billion with an increased CPO.
OPIC Board Chairman Stewart Tataruo acknowledged the government's assistance.
I'd like to thank the Marape Rosso government for taking OPIC on board in terms of national government funding, of which part of that money was used to purchase this vehicle.
Chairman of Popondetta Oil Palm Growers Association Arnold Coco acknowledged the vital contribution.
10 to 15 years, we haven't seen anything like this because of the contribution comes directly from the growers.
Coco also made an appeal to the oil palm growers in the country to invest their funds in the Oil Palm Industry Corporation.
And I'm appealing to all my counterparts in the country. I think all funds should be diverted straight to the headquarters. So where headquarters control the finance, this is what they're going to do to us in the near future, to the rest of the projects in the country. So I'm appealing to all my growers, appealing to all my counterparts in the country that all funds, all the global levies should be diverted straight to OPIC headquarters, where they could take control of the funds in the near future. But they already bought a vehicle for me in Popondetta already. It's going to same apply to all the projects in the country.
Papua New Guinea is 2 days away from hosting, the first time ever, the International Special Economic Zone Summit at the Stanley Hotel in Port Moresby. Over 400 delegates, both nationally and internationally, are expected to attend this 2-day summit. It is believed and expected that this summit will be the second biggest international summit after the APEC summit. The Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru, gave an update on the summit.
It has been in the making for the last 4 months. I'm pleased to inform everyone that we have, with the support of our government and our sponsors, raised up to 1.5 million to host this international summit.
He explained on the establishment of special economic zones that were initially established in the country and how the national government has failed to fully implement them.
During that time period, in 2000, prior to 2000, in 1993, Papua New Guinea started the first form of SPZ in Leh, in an industrial park called Malahang. They then moved to PNG government then moved to establish another industrial park in Tokoa, near Tokoa, called Ulaveo, in this neighboring province. Then it also announced, enacted by legislation, another special economic zone called the Wanimo Free Trade Zone.
Minister Maru further explained and gave details as to how SEZs in the country were established but have been on hold due to lack of support from the responsible authorities.
So one could argue that over the last 30 years, Papua New Guinea has failed to develop the SEZ sector to transform our economy. While other countries in the same time period have been very successful Countries like China with 2,500 plus SPZs, the Philippines with over 420, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia with 7 economic regions.
International Trade and Investment Department Secretary Jacinta Warakai Manua highlighted on the importance of the summit.
It's the right time as we are progressing in our development, as is that will give support to us, and it provides the enabling infrastructure for us to drive our economy through trade and investment, and as is that is a tool for us. We did not just come out overnight to invite these countries. We had a look at the history of the countries, and we have visited those countries to know that special economic zone have assisted them to grow their economies.
The national government is yet to have a special economic zone policy, although there is a Special Economic Zone Authority Act 2019 enforced by the government. The Ministry of International Trade and Investment is working to draft a policy for special economic zones in the country once the International SPZ Summit concludes. Failure by past governments to pass a concrete policy for special economic zones in the country is the reason as to why there are several unsuccessful special economic zones in Papua New Guinea. These were alluded to by Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru.
What I want Papua New Guinea to know is, despite the passing of the enabling legislation called the Special Economic Zone Act of 2019, the government does not have a SPZ policy. We don't. We don't even have a comprehensive legislative structure, and we don't even have a development plan or master plan on where do we start with economic zones and where do we end. It is very confusing because the government during that time period has also brought in legislation to start the special economic zone in Manus, called the Manus Special Economic Region. At the same time, it passed legislation to start the other economic regions in the New Guinea Islands, in Kokopo and Gazelle.
His Vice Minister and Member for Rai Coast, Cassie Sawang, added that with the upcoming International Special Economic Zone Summit, it will provide a platform to learn from other countries, and that will help them to draft a policy suitable for PNG.
This is one of the things we failed in the past. We didn't have a framework for it. We didn't have policy. We didn't have the governance arrangement around that. And we have been working very hard under the leadership of our Minister, Honorable Richard Maru, to actually put a draft of this in place, and that will be workshopped in the summit.
The Secretary of Department of International Trade and Investment, Jacinta Warakai Manua, echoed what the two ministers stated on how vital it is to have a SPZ policy for the country.
A document that is going to be presented, which we will use. It comes out when we present it, it's going to be a draft, and we encourage those others out there to comment on it and come back to us so that we can strengthen the policy that will drive our economy through special economic zone.
Looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2840 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Kina was buying $0.2765 $0.4098 Australian dollars, $0.2432 euro, 36.69 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed higher, copper closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading higher, copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. And moving to overseas news now, final preparations are underway for the King's coronation in London.
It's all happening down here outside Buckingham Palace. The flags are up, the roads being closed. Already crowds are camping out. They're just hoping that come Saturday that they can catch a good glimpse of the newly crowned King and Queen when they drive down the Mall in their procession. I've just had a chat to some of these campers about how they're feeling.
Well, I'm a royalist and I like the royal family, and it's history in the making, isn't it? So I just had to come to the coronation. I came to Kate and William's wedding, came to the Queen Mother's 100th birthday. I've been to the Diamond Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee, the Platinum Jubilee, and the Queen's funeral.
Well, it looks like you've travelled a long way to be here today.
I did. I left Toronto last night, landed in London this morning, made my way directly here.
Wow, and what's the attraction? What are you hoping to see?
The king, the coronated king, and the queen, and the royal family, the pomp and the pageantry, right here in the front row.
The Crown Princess Mary Cancer Centre in Sydney, Australia, was attacked by hackers that threatened to acquire important data.
Or the Crown Princess Mary Cancer Centre databases have been impacted in this potential cybersecurity hack. Now, it's still very much an active investigation, and health authorities were only alerted late yesterday afternoon of this potential security threat. It all really did kick off late yesterday when a number of screenshots were being shared to social media of this group that's claiming to be behind the attack. They're known as Medusa, and they have this live blog page, and there was screenshots of them recently listing the Crown Princess Mary Cancer Centre as their most latest victim. It's a facility here within Westmead Hospital in Western Sydney.
Russia accuses the US and Ukraine for drone attacks on Kremlin.
A day after accusing Ukraine of attacking the Kremlin, Moscow suggested America was involved. A spokesman said decisions about attacks on Russia were made not in Kyiv, but in Washington. There was no evidence, but this is a familiar claim that the West is using Ukraine to wage war against Russia. Today, President Putin was seen for the first time after what Moscow described as a Ukrainian assassination attempt. The US denied having anything to do with the apparent drone attack. It said the Kremlin was lying, as questions remain about what happened yesterday and who did what. In The Hague, President Zelensky visited the International Criminal Court, which has issued an arrest warrant for the Russian leader over the unlawful deportation of Ukrainian children. He called for a special tribunal to prosecute alleged Russian crimes.
We all want to see different Vladimir here in The Hague. The one who deserves to be sentenced for these criminal actions right here in the capital of the international law.
Proud Boys leaders Enrique Tarrio is among a number of people who were convicted of storming the White House.
Now, what that means is the jury found them guilty of conspiring to overthrow the government or of trying to prevent a law being enacted. Essentially, they found that these men plotted to try and obstruct the certification on January the 6th, 2021 of Joe Biden as the winner of the November 2020 presidential election. It's an interesting finding because Enrique Tarrio wasn't even here in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th. He'd been ordered out of the city because of another legal matter he was involved in. Now, we've seen this case run for several months. It's been the longest of the January 6th court cases so far. What the prosecution argued was that these men saw themselves as Donald Trump's army. The defense also used Donald Trump in its argument, and it said that these men were scapegoats for what Donald Trump had done. So a very significant case and a very serious conviction for these four men. A fifth man, who was also a defendant in this case, has been found not guilty on that charge of seditious conspiracy.
National MTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To an update on the PNG Hunters and their fourth home game of the season in the Queensland Host Plus Cup competition will be competed tomorrow at the Santos National Football Stadium, where the Hunters will take on the Ipswich Jets in round 8.
Last weekend, the PNG Hunters defeated the Mackay Carters with a resounding 18-10 pointer as they mounted a comeback midway through both halves. The 8-point winning margin claimed by Hunters last Saturday does not truly define Hunters' home ground dominance, and the challenge now is to back it up this weekend against the Ipswich Jets. The Jets, on the other hand, had endured a tough start in their season 2023 Host Plus Cup campaign and are yet to register a win. Tomorrow, as the Hunters play host to yet another desperate 15th position edge, the Ipswich Jets, the win is dependent on whoever employs outstanding front foot, as both sides possess powerhouse middle rowers. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Meanwhile, prior to the match kickoff of the SP Hunters and Ipswich Jets, a curtain raiser will see the two top teams in the Port Moresby Rugby League competition go head-to-head at 12:30 p.m. at the Santos National Football Stadium.
Corresponding to last weekend's curtain raiser, where the Port Moresby Rugby League defending premiers, the Royals, face the Hanwha Botha Hawks. Tomorrow, the two undefeated clubs in the POM RFL 2023 season, the Gulf West and the Paga Panthers, will go to a curtain raiser showdown prior to the main battle of the day. As Port Moresby Rugby League Board of Management continues to strive to raise young talents, this is a golden opportunity for the players to showcase their skills and talents in front of a much bigger crowd. The Paga Panthers and the Gulf Wests have remained undefeated in their season 2023 campaign of the Port Moresby Rugby League competition, and tomorrow will witness a grueling contest between these two top-tier clubs, which will unravel at 12:30 p.m. local time. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To some rugby union action, the Capital Rugby Union is running a 4-day-long clinic at Bava Park, which commenced yesterday and is into its second day today. This clinic will feature two professional rugby union icons in the likes of Paddy Ryan, who is currently on a 5-year contract with the Japanese Munakata Blues, and former New South Wales Waratahs prop, and Aiden Toa, who is the former fullback for the Queensland Reds. MTV's Trukai Sports team visited the Bava Park vicinity today to capture today's clinical session.
A total of 28 coaches and referees underwent today's morning part of the clinic session, which also gave a bonding opportunity for the club's coaches, as most of the times they go to the Bava playing field as competitors. These were some of the notable essence of the clinic session that has sparked the attention of the Capital Rugby Union President Corey Chen.
And I think it also it helps set a bit of a bond between the coaches. A lot of the time we come down to the field and we're all very competitive against each other, but when they came in and sat in this session, they could understand that, hey, we're actually a part of CRU and we're trying to really develop a brand for CRU in terms of how we want to play rugby So that was the coaches.
Former Heathead Waratahs superstar Paddy Ryan, who recently completed his 5-year contract with the Japanese Munakata Blues, says his connection with PNG goes way back and he is happy to be a part of this clinic, especially in giving back to the community.
I kind of had a connection to here, and I'm good school friends with one of the advisors for the CRU. So, I've just finished my season in Japan 2 weeks ago, and the opportunity came up to come over here. The CRU organised it. Corey and Brendan Chan and a few others have helped out, and it was a great opportunity. I'm really happy to come here and give back to the rugby community.
Ryan's counterpart and former Queensland Reds fullback Aidan Toa spoke on the vitality of carrying out this clinic.
Look, it's a fantastic initiative by Corey and the CRU staff. Me and Paddy are here. All we're trying to do is impart our wisdom, things that we've learnt over the game, from the game the last 12 years, and carry them on and pass them on to the local players here. I think there's a tremendous amount of potential, and I think given the right framework, the right structures and the right skills, we can start to see the next Papua New Guinean superstars come through.
CRU President Corey Chan acknowledged the support and the contributions of these two superpowered and well-experienced former Rugby Union players.
They both bring in a lot of experience and knowledge, as professional Rugby Union players, playing internationally as well. So, really grateful to have them come and share some of that knowledge with our coaches, with our referees, and also with our players over these couple of days.
Come Tuesday, the 9th of May, the clinic will be centered around Women's Division, where interactions and information sharing, as well as union drills, will be imparted by these two icons to them. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Moving to overseas sports now, and the NRL community will descend upon the city of Brisbane for its Magic Round.
That venue is Lang Park in Brisbane. An estimated 135,000 fans are set to witness some high-octane rugby league right in front of them, in a boost for local tourism as well. Around 150,000 nights of accommodation have been sold, and an expected $30 million will be injected into the local economy as well. On the field, well, the round itself kicks off with 2 fixtures tonight. The Bulldogs take on the Raiders before the Sea Eagles face the Broncos.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Taking a look at the weather report for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, Port Moresby City, cloudy with evening rain showers and thunderstorms. Daru, few showers and possible thunderstorms. Kerama, rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Alatau, cloudy with evening rain showers and thunderstorms. Popondetta, cloudy periods with occasional rain showers and thunderstorms. In the Momase region, Ley City, cloudy with few evening showers and thunderstorms. Medang, cloudy periods with brief showers. Wewak, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms. Vanimo, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, becoming cloudy with rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Kavieng, cloudy periods with few showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy with evening rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Kimbe, partly cloudy with evening rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Buka, partly cloudy with few evening showers and possible thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, becoming cloudy with evening rain showers and thunderstorms. Goroka and Kundiawa, partly cloudy with few showers and thunderstorms. Mendi and Wabeg, partly cloudy with evening showers and thunderstorms. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border to Daru, to Kiwai Islands, to Kerama, to Yule Island, to Port Moresby to Hood Point to Samurai Islands, seas 2 to 3 meters. Waters of Samurai Island to eastern and western Milne Bay Islands to Cape Vogel, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Cape Vogel to Huon Gulf to Finschhafen, seas 1 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Finschhafen through VTS Dampier Straits to CSC Long Islands to Medang, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters north of Medang to Wewak to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of New Britain Island to New Island and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Coral Sea seas moderate to rough southeast winds of 20 to 33 knots. Solomon Sea seas light to moderate southeast to southwest winds of 10 to 20 knots. Bismarck Sea seas light southeast to southwest winds of 10 to 15 knots. South Pacific Ocean seas light southeast tending clockwise winds of 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Friday, the 5th of May 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Gold Nuggets.